What's going on, everybody? What's happening? What's shaking? What's doing? My name's Dave McRae. Welcome to episode 286 of McRae Live. The date today is Tuesday, October the 8th, 2024, 1:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm coming to you live from the Voice Band Studios in Toronto, Canada, and it's been a while since I've done a show. I want to catch up with you guys, see how you guys are doing, talk some horror news. There's big horror news out there. Scream 7, of course, Terrifier 3, of course, Robert Englund, of course. The Nosferatu trailer dropped a couple of weeks ago now, I think, or maybe a week or so ago. I watched that. That looked really awesome. I just want to see how you guys are doing and talk a bit about this news and just talk about it and see what's shaking and what's happening and what's doing. This Friday, it's not just Terrifier 3, it's the dropping of It's Me, Billy Chapter 2 this Friday, October 11th, 2024. There is no excuse why you can't watch both Terrifier and It's Me, Billy. One you've got to pay for, one you don't. Two completely unrelated films, but you can watch it this Friday. I have a promo dropping. Our third promo for It's Me, Billy Chapter 3 will be dropping after the show today. So make sure you go and give that a watch, a like, a thumbs up, and help push it in the algorithm. It helps a lot, and it's the least you can fucking do. So there you go. I appreciate all of you, of course. I appreciate all of you. Hey, everybody, what's going on? Welcome to episode 286 of McRae Live. It's great to see everybody here. I wanted to jump on and talk about some news. Like I said, it's been a while since I've been on because things have been just so busy for me, obviously. We're gearing up for the release of It's Me, Billy Chapter 2 this Friday. We had the advanced screening, the world premiere on Sunday, and it went well. And I hope everybody who joined that stream and was able to get a early look at It's Me, Billy, or not an early look, I'd say the advanced look, the premiere, Chapter 2. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm excited for the rest of you to watch the film this coming Friday. I mean, it's really, really exciting. I'm excited to finally get it out there. And, like I said, we've been working really hard and it's exciting stuff. And we did the Death Curse Society podcast last night. We did Davey Death Ray show last Wednesday. We're doing another podcast this Saturday as well. So we're kind of doing some podcasts to kind of talk about it and help promote it. And you guys can do that as well. When it drops on Friday, make sure that you, promote the hell out of it and watch it and share it and all that kind of stuff. And I hope you like it. Again, whether you like a movie or not, or whether something works for you or not, is subjective. We understand that not everybody's going to love what we've done, but hopefully most people will, and hopefully that you will at least find it a satisfying conclusion, not only to our story, but to the Black Christmas story as well. So we can talk a bit more about It's Me, Billy Chapter 2 in a little bit, but let's talk about some of the horror news that has been dropping lately. So Robert Englund, let's talk about Robert Englund here for a second. And I find this particularly interesting, obviously, because I might know a little bit about something about playing Freddy Krueger. And I always find it interesting when Robert Englund talks about Freddy Krueger. Obviously, it is the 40th anniversary this year of the original Elm Street, released in 1984. Happy birthday on Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy Krueger. And Heather Langenkamp and Robert Englund have been making the rounds for the 40th anniversary 4K release of the movie, and they're doing press junkets and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure you've seen some of the interviews. And hang on a sec here. I think hang on. I just want to, 1 second. I want to just make sure that I'm not, it's just a technical thing here. I want to make sure. Oh, yeah, I don't. That's so weird that my microphone is weird. Okay, I'll have to check. You know what? I'll check that later. Let me just give myself a little bump here in OBS. I'm not sure why it's doing that. I mean, I know my levels sound fine, but I just want to give myself just an extra little, hang on a sec. Oh, I see what I've done there. Just a little bit of an extra little thing there. Yeah. Test. Yeah, that should be a little better. And he didn't, and he was asked, once again, are you going to play Freddy Krueger? And this, let me just go over here. This comes to us from Collider. Now, this is a few days ago now. But I thought this was, again, just to put it out there so people... Robert Englund. It's going to be Robert Englund. And maybe it still will be. Maybe it still will be. Oh, I noticed my microphone significantly dropped on this page. 1 second, folks. Okay. Test, test, test. There we go. That's a little better. This comes to us from Collider. Most of the time, the actors behind the masks of our favorite slasher films have changed from installment to installment. Whether it's Halloween's Nick Castle and James Jude Courtney, or Friday the 13th, Warrington Gillette, or Richard Brooker. The person behind the mask rarely appears for more than one or two goes. That is, of course, unless it's Scream, which is kind of the entire point of the franchise. But in the film series A Nightmare on Elm Street, one man has reigned supreme as the dream demon known as Frederick Krueger. Frederick, can you imagine? Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund. Englund originated the role in the original 1984 film and has reprised that part for almost all of the 8 films to follow, save for the 2010 reboot, in which Jackie Earle Haley got snuggly in the killer's sweater. Now, more than a decade later, questions have begun to surface surrounding the possibility of Englund reclaiming the role or leaving it open for someone like Haley to take over. Unfortunately, for the diehard fans out there who have been praying to see Englund back in the gruesome prosthetics, slicing and dicing anyone who dares to fall asleep, the actor doesn't see a future reprisal likely. That is, except under one condition. And it's a colorful one, literally. While speaking with Bloody Disgusting, Englund said, this is quote, "There's no Freddy left in me. I could possibly voice a really high-end animated version. That would be nice to be asked to do that. But I do know I can't do the fight scenes more than one take now, one angle. I just can't be snapping my head or anything like that. I'm an old dog. Give me a break." So, and then the article goes on and talks about the anniversary and all that kind of stuff. But I really wanted to focus in on that segment there. Because, I think it's important that we as again, this doesn't mean that he won't at all. Who knows if the money is right, if it makes sense, if maybe he doesn't have to have fight scenes, but there's all these types of logistics that you can paint around it and, all that kind of stuff. But he's been saying this for a number of years. And, I will say again that Robert Englund is the GOAT. He will always be Freddy, just as Harrison Ford will always be Indiana Jones and Han Solo and all that kind of stuff. The role, him and the role they're connected forever. When Robert Englund dies, it will be Freddy Krueger actor dies. You know what I'm saying? It's like how Jamie Lee Curtis always says, when I die, it's going to be Halloween actress. You know what I mean? There are some roles that you are connected to forever. And although, an actor, most actors don't want to be typecast and they want to go on and do lots of different things, having that as your main, that's a hell of a legacy. It's a hell of a legacy. But he's almost 80. And you're right. And he is right. When you get to that age, the creaks, the aches, the pains, the arthritis, and it's a very demanding role. Even for somebody his age, just sitting in a makeup chair for 4 hours on a feature film at his age, even though he's not doing anything, extraneous, he's not jumping around, he's not leaping, he's just sitting in a makeup chair. Even that, for somebody of his age, in his physical condition, because he's a little heavier now. We love Robert, but he's a little heavier now. He's got a little bit of a belly. For somebody that age, that can be exhausting, right? Even just, it's mentally exhausting. And if he's got a bad back or a bad shoulder, just sitting there, you know what I'm saying? He's got, he doesn't want to do it, guys. He doesn't want to do it. It doesn't mean he won't. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that it's 0%, but I'm saying it's probably under 10%. and to be fair, when I saw him as Freddy on the Goldbergs, now this was 2018. So this is what, 4 or 5, this is 6 years ago. But do you remember that? That show, The Goldbergs, it was their Halloween special, I believe, in the fall of 2018. And he reprised the role of Freddy. I think it was the last time he did it, unless he's been in the makeup for a couple of conventions since, which is possible. But he was on that show. And it was fun to see him, because he's still got the whimsy, he's still got the charisma. But he looked like an out of shape Freddy Krueger, right? You know what I mean? He didn't quite look like the Freddy that you would want him to look like. You know what I mean? And that was 6 years ago. And so now he's even older than that now. And so I do think it's over. And if you're somebody that is Robert or nobody, well, then it's over, folks. It's over. There will never be another Nightmare on Elm Street, which is not true. But I'm just saying, if that's how you feel, it's Robert or nobody. If you cannot budge on that, if you are so set in that in your mind, you will not move it as Robert or nobody. Usually the Robert or nobodies are coming from people that really they're too emotionally attached. They really don't understand nuance, and they're not really thinking it. You know what I mean? Actors, filmmakers, directors, hardcore fans have their pulse on it. Usually can be a bit more nuanced about it and can say, "Hey, listen, Robert will always be my Freddy. I love Robert. He's my man. He's my boy, Freddy Krueger." But can another actor do it? Yeah. Do we take that risk? That's another conversation. But I can tell you, as somebody who is an actor, I can tell you that it can't, and I'm not just saying that because I did it, or I played him. I'm not saying that I did it I don't want to be presumptuous. I'm just saying that, the feedback that I got on the little snippet that you saw of me in Dylan's New Nightmare was extremely positive, and a lot of people really liked what I was able to do. And if that's the last time I ever play Freddy, I hope at the very least it shows you it can be done. But I was saying that long before I was ever cast. I was saying that when in 2017, in 2018, I was saying there is another actor out there that can do it. It can be done. It can be done. And you know who agrees with me? Robert Englund. And I'm not saying Kevin Bacon. I'm not saying all that. I'm just saying it can be done. You just have to do your due diligence and find the right person for the material and for the job. And that can take a little bit. But for some people, they can't get past the emotional attachment. And listen, Harrison Ford's my favorite actor of all time. I am very emotionally attached to that man as an actor in terms of the characters he's played. I grew up with him. I used to wear what I would call my Han Solo pants in, kindergarten with that red stripe down the side on a pair of blue pants. I mean, I've been, not literally, but, in love with Harrison Ford as an actor for years. I was like 5 years old. He's my favorite actor. And he will always be Indiana Jones to me. Always. He is Indiana Jones. But is there somebody else out there that could do it justice? Of course. And I'm not talking about Chris Pratt. I always thought, and I think it's a little too late for it now, but I always thought that Hugh Jackman would have made an interesting Indiana Jones, maybe about 20 years ago. Because he would have been in his late 30s, early 40s. That would have been interesting. He's tall, dark, handsome, got that suave, but can be funny, action, great shape. I could see him in a fedora and the coat and the whip and everything. He might have been able to do it. You know what I'm saying? And if he had done it and had it been successful, would all of a sudden I forget about Harrison Ford? No. He'll always be Indiana Jones. It's not about tossing these people to the side. I said this at the Q&A for Dylan's New Nightmare. I said, look, it's not about replacing Robert. I mean, yes, you are replacing him, but it's not about replacing him in a disrespectful way, like we don't give a fuck about you. Get the hell out of here. We're going to kick you to the curb like a poor little, one-legged dog or something like that. That's not what this is. This is about an actor aging out of a role. It happens. It happens. It's going to happen to everybody. And so if you don't want anybody else playing Robert Englund, then shut the fuck up about another Elm Street. Because at the end of the day, you can't have your cake and eat it too. He's almost 80. I feel like I got to say, he's 87. He can still watch. But you know what I mean? Like, you get these people like, no, I don't want anybody like Robert, but I want another Elm Street. It's like, and maybe you will. Maybe you will get it. But here's the thing that I propose to you. Do you want just one Elm Street movie, or do you want Freddy back, right? Do you want just a legacy sequel, or do you want a revival of the Elm Street franchise? Because if Robert Englund comes back, he's not coming back 5 times, right? You might be able to get him once. Might. But he says in this article, guys, I'm done. He's been saying that for the last 6 or 7 years. I'm done. I'm too old. My neck hurts. My back hurts. I got arthritis. I can't turn this way. I'm done. He's 76 or 77 or, whatever the hell he is. So, even if they did get him back, then what? You have him in a movie and then what? You're going to have to recast him anyway. So I think you just recast. It's what you do. And you put the same amount of due diligence and effort into, but it all depends on the direction too, right? Do you cast in the vein of Robert, right? Or do you go something different? Like Jackie Earle Haley, as much as people complain about that film, ironically, he was not the problem of that movie. He was different. He wasn't Robert, but he was not the problem in that movie. Like, out of all the issues of that film, Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy, not the makeup, not the CGI phase, nothing like that. Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy is not at the top of the list, right? When people complain about that movie, it's usually, it's Rooney Mara, and it's that dumb CGI face, and and then Jackie Earle Haley is somewhere around 7th or 8th. You know what I'm saying? So that goes to show you something. A better movie, a better script, a better story, better effects, better makeup, we might not be having this conversation right now, right? And so it was different from Robert, right? They decided to go a bit different, but it can be done. It can be done. So, shout out to Robert Englund. And obviously I had a chance to meet him at Mad Monster, briefly, of course, but just a true professional and an awesome dude. And again, maybe he'll come back. Maybe. You never know. You never say never. But he's been singing the same tune now very clearly, and he's never wavered. So again, for all of you who want Robert, it's Robert or nobody. Well, at this point, it's nobody. And if you're okay with that, then okay. But if you're one of those Elm Street fans that want Robert or nobody, but you still want a movie, well, then what do you want? What's worth more to you? What's worth more to you, right? Doing their due diligence to find a replacement and giving you a kick-ass fucking Elm Street movie, or never having an Elm Street movie because it's not Robert? I hope at the very least that my little snippet of me as Freddy in Dylan's Zoo Nightmare has at the very least been able to prove that it can be done. I'm not saying I was identical to Robert, but the spirit was there. It can be done. Whether it's me or 500 other actors out there that are waiting for their big break, right? In that context, in that sense. So it can be done. And no, not Kevin Bacon. It should not be an immediately identifiable actor. It should be an unknown. And again, when I say unknown actor, I don't mean amateur actor. I don't mean an actor with no experience, right? Sometimes people think that those are the same thing. An unknown actor just means an unknown actor can be a professional actor. You can be an absolute professional actor and be unknown. You can. You can. Unknown just means, what that means is you're not a household name. You're not in the pop culture zeitgeist. You're not, Tom Cruise, right? You're Ben Smitherman. Who's that? I don't know. Do you know? No, I don't either. But that doesn't mean he's not a pro, right? He just hasn't had that break to elevate his name into the pop culture. And I think it should be somebody like that. It should be an unknown actor. That way they can just lose themselves in the role, and we're not thinking, oh, this is Kevin Bacon as Freddy Krueger. Oh, it's Kevin Bacon. Oh, that was kind of like a footloose move there. No, we don't think about that. We don't think about that. So that's how I feel about it. My thoughts have never changed on that. I just wanted to talk about it again because it was new, and he said it. Happy 40th anniversary to A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, of course, we've also got what else do we have? We have Scream 7. Scream 7 has a release date. It is February 2026. How do you guys feel about that? Are you guys excited for Scream 7? It's got its release date. I'm curious about this, This is going to be a very interesting thing because, for those of you that might be new, I'm not the world's biggest Scream fan, but I like Scream. I like the first movie. I think the first movie... I think the rest of the movies really are completely pointless. Which I guess you could say that about a lot of movies, but that first Scream movie is kind of how I feel about the first season of Stranger Things. Now, don't get me wrong. I am glad the rest of the seasons exist. They've been a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of Stranger Things. As a young boy who grew up through the 1980s, I can definitely identify with all that, all the 80s pop culture goodiness. But that first season is my favorite because it is the perfect example of what Stranger Things was meant to be. Kids in the 80s riding their bikes, getting into shenanigans, 80s pop culture, He-Man. You know what I mean? Like what the rest of the seasons, of course, the kids are getting older now, right? And that Goonies, it's not really like that anymore. Now we've introduced, because they're teenagers, now we've got sex involved. I don't mean sex scenes, but I mean, opposite sex, romantic feelings, love, and I know that Mike and 11, he had a crush on her in the first one. I'm just talking about now we've matured the themes a bit, and things are getting darker, and it's all great. It's all great. It's great. It's great. But that first season of Stranger Things will always be my favorite because it was the perfect example of childhood innocence, where there was no sex, there was no drugs or drinking or high school drama. You know what I mean? It was that perfect, that last year or two before you enter into that early teenage bullshit, right? And so it was that real Goonies, you know what I mean? It was the perfect, that's what it was. And they could have just left it, would have been amazing. Don't get me wrong. I love the other seasons too. So with Scream, I kind of feel the same way. Scream is that perfect example. It's this whodunit. These two guys are obsessed with horror movies and they live their lives recreating the kills that they're obsessed with, and they actually follow through and make it real life, and they end up getting caught and they die and blah, blah, blah. And the rest of the movies have just been sort of pale imitations of that first movie. And not that there isn't enjoyment to get out of 2 or 3, even 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. There are, but I've never watched a Scream movie beyond 1 that feels like it's just the same movie over and over again. To me. Now, maybe that's because I'm not a diehard and I'm missing some of those nuances. But when I watched Scream 5 and I watched Scream 6, I had fun with them. They're not poorly made movies. They're not bad movies at all. They're fun and they're great. And they are Scream movies. But that's kind of my point, is that they're just Scream. But I will say, out of all the horror franchises, like I've said many times, they've yet to have a catastrophic failure. If Scream 3, if the third Scream movie is the worst in your franchise, you're doing something really good. If that's the weakest, you're doing something really good. But I find them all sort of kind of the same, very predictable. We get to the end and the villain takes 10 minutes to tell you why they're so villainous and then shit happens. That's why I so much was hoping that Scream 6 would have ended on a cliffhanger. Break the formula a bit. Don't break the formula of it, the fact that it's a whodunit, but break the formula just a bit. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I would have loved if Scream 6 had ended on a cliffhanger, something we've never seen before. It would have shocked you, because every Scream movie ends with the Scooby-Doo moment, right? The mask comes off, and it's like, and the villain takes, as I said, 10 minutes to tell you why they're so evil, and then they end up dying anyway because they took too long to tell you why they were so evil. Every Scream movie ends the same way, and I would have loved it if Scream 6 had just ended on a cliffhanger where maybe, Sam and Tara are defeated, they're hurt, they're injured, they're on the ground, and standing above them is Ghostface, and he takes the knife and he wipes it clean or whatever, and it's this low angle shot looking up at Ghostface, and he's looking down, and the slow push in on him or something like that, and the girls are in pain. Oh, they're looking up, and the music begins to swell a little bit, and then we're right on his mask, we're pushing in, cut to black, roll credits. It's like, whoa, wait a fucking minute. We haven't seen that before. Since when does a Scream movie end with not knowing who it was? I wanted them to take that risk. So that was a nice catalyst to lead into 7. Right? So it's almost like a two-part, it's a bigger story where each Scream movie has been wrapped up in one movie. Maybe this was a larger story. They needed 2 movies to tell. And that would have been cool. That's a little different. You're going to get your mask comes off, Scooby-Doo moment. He takes 10 minutes to tell you why he's so evil and he dies anyway at the end of Scream 7. But at Scream 6, at the end of Scream, at the end of Scream 7. But I was really hoping that Scream 6 would have done that, because it would have, some people may have been pissed off, who knows, but I would have really liked that. I would have loved to have seen something like that. I think that would have been really cool. So now, of course, with the whole Melissa Barrera's not coming back, neither is Jenna Ortega. Neve Campbell is back. Kevin Williamson is directing. What is this going to be? I don't know. Maybe it'll be great. And listen, I've been doing this YouTube channel long enough to know that there are a lot of diehard Scream fans out there. That just love it. And I want to know your thoughts. What do you want? What do you want from Scream? You Scream fans out there, jump into the comment section, let me know. In the live chat right now, let me know. Send in a super chat, send in a member chat, send in a whatever the case is. Let me know what you want from Scream 7. What do you want at this point? Where are we here? Neve Campbell's coming back. Okay, great. I'll be honest with you. I didn't really miss her in Scream 5. She was in it, but she was only in it, briefly. I didn't really miss her at all in Scream 6. I'm of the mindset, and I've said this, before, and I know there are some people that disagree with me, but I still feel this way. I think Sam and Tara's story is really done because of the way that Scream 7 ended, right? She drops the mask and walks away. That's cinematic language. Had she taken the mask with her, that would have been interesting, because now she's taking the evil with her. What does that mean? But when she has the mask in her hands and she drops it to the ground, symbolically, that's her letting go. It's letting go of her father. It's letting go of the past. It's letting go of, Scream. She's not going to become like her father, right? She's letting go. And then she walks with her sister off into the sunset, not literally, but you know what I mean? And so I don't feel like there's more of them to tell. You can. We pick up with them 5 years later. And of course, you could always make shit up. But I don't feel like, I wonder what happened to them. I don't feel like that. I know that they lived happily because it was such a strong ending, symbolically. So it's kind of worked out well, because had there been a massive cliffhanger with Sarah with Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, then you'd kind of be up Schitt's Creek right now. You'd have to do almost like another story, like a side thing off over here while this shit is happening over here. But anyway, so I don't know where to go. Like I enjoy the Scream movies. They don't reinvent the wheel. I think they're safe. I think they're fairly safe movies, which is not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. I think they're perfect movies to introduce to kids. I don't mean like little kids, but I mean like a 10-year-old or an 11-year-old who wants to get into horror. I think the Scream movies are perfect for that. And they're always fun to watch. But they've got to, I don't know what you do with Scream 7. Like, how do you push the boundaries? How do you make us go, oh? Now, for some of you, it's like, well, you got to bring Stu back. I don't think you have to bring Stu back in order to do that, but that is one way of doing that. Yes, for sure. So that kind of thing. Because what is it going to be? It's just going to be another bunch of kids that are pissed off at Sydney and they're going out, I guess they're going after her kids, so it makes it personal this time or something. Oh, okay, all right, well, that's a little different. She's got kids, so now the stakes have been raised. And the ghost face is going after her kids and wanting to kill her kids. I mean, how cool would it be? And I don't think they'd have the balls to do this. They wouldn't. The studio would probably say no. I think it would be too deep. I think this would be too deep and too philosophical. Not even philosophical, just too heavy. I think this would be too heavy. And I don't think Spyglass or Paramount would want to do this. It's Paramount, right? I think. But you guys know me, and you guys know how deep I like to get. I wouldn't be against, you know what? She's got a couple of kids. She's got a husband, right? We know that from Scream 5. What about, your prologue at the beginning of Scream 7 is her family dying? I don't mean that you see them like bloody murdered or something, but something like that. Maybe Ghostface, causes a car accident, or I don't know, something happens where her family dies. Now, for a lot of you out there, there's going to be resistance to that. No, we can't have that. I just want a movie where they're in danger. Let's just have her family in danger, and then at the end of the movie, she saves her family. Okay, yeah, and that's likely what they're going to do. That's because it's safe. It's safe. We put the family in danger. We make you think something's going to happen. But then at the end of the movie, they'll get cuts and bruises and things like that. But at the end of the movie, her family's safe. They hug and the credits roll and you're all happy and you go home happy. That is totally what they're likely going to do. But I like to think outside the box and think a bit deeper. And I'm thinking, could you imagine? Like, I was of the mindset that what if Scream 7, this is before we knew that Nev wasn't going to come back. What if Scream 7 opened with Nev's death? Or Scream 5, I even talked about it. Like, think of that weight, right? You know what I mean? Again, it's not that characters die, it's how they die. And does it serve the story? Is there real depth there? But I think that kind of thing is probably a little too deep for a Scream movie. That's pretty heavy. But wouldn't it shock you sitting in that theater watching and the prologue is all of a sudden Sydney's family dies? Holy fuck. You'd be sitting there, your mouth would drop and the butter from your popcorn would be dripping down your face and you'd be going, did they just fucking... And then the whole time you're thinking, oh, no, they're probably not really dead. They're just horror movie dead and they'll come back. Or not horror movie dead, superhero dead. They're not really dead, which is something they might do as well. But I wouldn't be against that. But anyway, I don't think they're going to do that. But that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's time to start pushing, not removing the DNA. And maybe they don't want to push those boundaries because it continues to work for them. Scream continues to make money at the box office. Yes, they're doing the same thing basically over and over again, just with different characters. But it's working. And people always like a good whodunit. And even though it's kind of the same beats of every movie, you still like to figure out who the killer is. And so, it works. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And maybe they'll just continue to do it until people get tired of this formula. I don't know when that'll be. And they would likely say to my ideas, Dave, we love you, but no, we don't want to do that because that's just too risky. And fair enough. I just feel, as a casual Scream fan, I feel that I just need more from a Scream movie now. I just like, what's going on here? What are we doing? You know what I mean? What are we doing here? That's how I feel about it. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on Scream 7 as well. Terrifier 3 comes out this Friday, October the 11th. Terrifier 3, ladies and gentlemen. Are you excited about it? Are you looking forward to it? I haven't seen it, of course. I was not privy to any sort of advanced screening, but I know people who have seen it already, of course. And apparently it is bloodier and gorier than the last two movies combined. And it's getting crazy. So if you are a big Terrifier fan, if you're a big fan of splatter movies, because that to me is what they are. I don't say that as a knock on the film. That's just what the films are. They're splatter movies. Well, that's why you're going to see them. As I've said many times on this channel, that is the hook. That's the shtick. That's the gimmick. I don't say that in a negative way. Sometimes hook, shtick, and gimmick can be used negatively. I don't say it to mean it negatively. I just simply mean that is ultimately why you are going to see how how grossed out it can be, how crazy the kills are, how bloody and gory it is, that's why you're going. You may like Art the Clown, you may think he's a cool character, but you put him in a pedestrian horror movie and a slasher movie with a lot of deaths off screen, cutaways, and minimal blood, like how the MPA cuts down some of our favorite horror movies, you probably wouldn't be nearly as excited. You want to go and see if you're going to puke. You want to go and see if anybody else pukes. That's the hook. It's a splatter movie. Yes, we can argue the semantics all day long, but splatter movies are legit things. And if this movie had come out in the 70s, it'd be right up there with the grindhouse splatter movies that your parents don't want you to go see because it'd be up there with your Last House on the Lefts and all that kind of stuff, those taboo underground kind of stuff. But people love it, and it's horror is cyclical. It's come back. There's a taboo nature about it. Let's go see Terrifier. Oh my God, Terrifier, all that kind of stuff. And it's not my kind of horror, but there is room for everybody at the table, as I've said many times. I think it's good for horror that the Terrifier film, it's getting a lot of buzz. It's good for everybody who works in horror. I'll be very curious to see. I will likely not head to the theater to see it. It's probably something I'll catch on streaming. But I'm excited for all of you who are excited to go watch it. Terrifier 3 this Friday. It opens. Now, of course, there's that news that it is so gross and so crazy that people are throwing up. There were people throwing up at the UK premiere. There were people throwing up at this. Oh, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. Listen, I do not believe that. And this is not a knock. This is just looking at the reality of these kinds of things. Darren Sands, of course, as we know from the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast, was at the UK premiere. He was there in the audience at the premiere. And he said nobody threw up. There was nobody throwing up. There were people that walked out, but they would come back in. They weren't walking out to throw up. They were walking out to take a piss because apparently there was an open bar at the premiere and everybody was chugging back and getting drunk and hammered and people were taking piss. They didn't leave to barf. Nobody was barfing in the theater. Nobody left. Nobody fainted. Him and his wife were both at the premiere and they both read that article and laughed and was like, what? I even saw a tweet from somebody online who said they were at the UK premiere and said that, I don't know where this information is coming from, but nobody I knew threw up or laughed. There was nobody. It was just a regular screening. There was lots of hoots and hollers from, the audience in terms of, the bloods and, the blood and kill, but nobody was barfing. So again, I don't think that, what are my thoughts on this kind of stuff? So it's great marketing. It's great to say. It gets a lot of buzz, and there's no way to not prove it. When you go to a movie theater, especially early screenings, you can fudge lines. It's a darkened theater. There are people that are getting up and leaving. There are people that are arriving late. There are people that are, that do get up to go to the bathroom and come back. There's a lot. It's an environment where you can fudge truth to fit a narrative, right? It's like saying, God, there were 6 people that fucking threw up, at the Super Bowl. How can we disprove that, really, right? It's a stadium of 75,000 people. How are we going to disprove that, right? There's certain environments and certain settings that are perfect for this kind of thing. And all you have to say is, yeah, people got up and they left and and that's true. There were some people that got up and left. And you write an article about that and you can write and not feel bad about it because you're fudging the truth. But the people didn't get up to leave the theater. They got up because they had to take a piss and they came back. You know what I'm saying? And so darkened movie theaters, premieres, things like that, you can fudge truths and you can create your own narrative in the theater because it's dark and unless you're not watching the movie and you're just watching everybody else for 2 hours, there's so many details that you can miss, right? And so many things that you can fudge narratives and stories and things like that. Do I believe that 11 people or 9 people left the theater and threw up? No. Did 9 people leave? Possibly, but like Darren and his wife said, but they came back because they were taking a piss. Like, you know what I mean? Because that's what people, if they threw up, they wouldn't have come back. And so, I know that me saying that might not be popular for Terrifier 3 fans because they think that I'm attacking Terrifier. I'm not attacking Terrifier. I couldn't give a frog's fat ass what movie it was. It could have been Attack of the Killer, femurs, some splatter. It doesn't matter. It's this kind of marketing that always pops up around this kind of thing to generate buzz. And it's the perfect kind of thing that to do that with, because it's almost not disprovable. Do you know what I mean? So it's the perfect thing to say. Does that mean that there's never anybody, again, I'm instilling nuance. Does that mean that when people go to see these movies, nobody does faint? Nobody does throw up? Nobody does? No, it doesn't mean that at all. I'm just simply saying that, there are 3 people, that guy on Twitter, Darren and his wife, were at the premiere and said, the fuck you talking about? Nobody was barfing. Nobody was fainting. We're all there we all know what we're getting into. It's not like, this is a private screening for Terrifier. This is like, we know what everybody who's there knows what they're getting into, right? And so now where you will see this is more likely when it releases to the public, possibly. Because then you'll have the public, your average Joe moviegoer, who maybe doesn't know what he's getting into and wants to go to a screening to test his limits. And maybe he or she is the one that's like, oh my God, blah, kind of thing, and spills all over the place, right? So I don't know. Like I think it's fun, and I think it's great marketing, and are they lying? They may be fudging the truth, right? Like it's things like maybe there was a guy they saw that was like, oh man, I felt sick through that, but he didn't throw up. So they go, oh, you felt sick through that? Okay. I'm going to write you threw up. You know what I mean? And the people writing the articles don't feel bad about it. And it's usually hearsay as well. These articles are being written basing on what they've heard. Like there's no evidence of this. There's no interviews with the people who threw up, right? There's no interviews with the 2 people that fainted. There's no interview. Like, who are these people? Where are they and who are they? They're just out there in the ether. They're just out there, right? Because again, it's the perfect setting to write that kind of stuff. And it's not provable. It's not disprovable, right? So it's just, do I believe it? No, I don't. But do I think it's possible? Of course. But 2 reputable sources, Darren and his wife, were there in that theater that article was about, and they said, no, it wasn't happening. But it's great marketing. Go ahead, knock yourself out. Because the average person's not going to know that. Most people weren't in that theater, right? So most people aren't going to know. That's how I feel about it. I think it's a great marketing tactic. And I think there's some truth behind it. But I do believe the lines of reality are really blurred when this kind of thing, because all these articles are not, they're just what so I heard, so apparently, hey, did you hear that supposedly? Well, did you know that, apparently, supposedly I heard, like, what? Okay. And it works because it's Terrifier. It's not difficult to believe because it is Terrifier. And that's why it works. That's why it works, right? So anyway, but that's how I feel. You are free to disagree, of course. You are free to disagree. But that being said, this Friday, Terrifier 3, for all you Terrifier fans, comes out this Friday, October the 11th. And then the last thing I'll say, of course, before we jump over to the Q&A, is my own movie, It's Me, Billy, Chapter 2, releases for free this Friday, October 11th. There's no excuses why you can't go to the movie theater and watch Terrifier, and then come back and watch It's Me, Billy, Chapter 2, or reverse that order, watch It's Me, Billy, and then go to the theater to watch Terrifier. It releases this Friday. We're very proud of it. We're excited to finally have it out there. if you haven't watched chapter 1 at all, I recommend you watch chapter 1 before you watch chapter 2. If you haven't watched chapter 1 in a few years, watch chapter 1 before you watch chapter 2 so you can brush up on the story. It really is just the last half of the movie, of the story. It picks up immediately where chapter 1 left off. Where chapter 1 left off. So, I mean, if you've got it all in your head already and you just want to watch chapter 2, knock yourself out. But I think it will help your viewing experience if you are familiar with chapter 1 again, and then just roll right into chapter 2. It'll feel more like a complete experience. We do have another promo dropping after this show today, so it would be greatly appreciated if you guys watch the promo, give it a thumbs up and a like. The reason why, we people on YouTube say that is not for vanity. It's not because we're vain. It's not because we want, the dopamine hits of the likes and, the hearts and the comments. It really is literally because it helps the video. It helps in the algorithm. The algorithm recognizes, thumbs up and comments and views and, hey, people like this. So this is popular. So we must push this out to more people. And so that's why it's important. It's really important. It's not because we're trying to be arrogant and we just want to feel better about ourselves. No, it's because we want other people to find our stuff. And that only happens with hearts up and likes. That's the most important thing on a YouTube channel is not subscribers, it's engagement. It's engagement. If you have the engagement through views and likes and comments and things like that, that's more important than subscribers, for sure. Subscribers are nice, don't get me wrong. Hit that subscribe button. I'm just saying that hearts, likes, comments, whatever the case is. But comes out this Friday, October the 11th. Hey, Brandon Collins, one of our great mods, says, It's Me, Billy 2 is really good, folks. It's creepy as hell. Thank you, Brandon. Brandon, of course, was at the premiere the other night. So thank you, Brandon, for saying that. I really appreciate it. Very, very excited to have it out there finally. So let's jump over to the chat room and see what all of you are saying now. Let me see here. I know a couple member chats and super chats did come in. Let me grab them. Josh McKenna sends in a super chat, $9.99. Thank you, Josh, and says, Friday is the big day. I'm excited to see It's Me, Billy. Oh, you're in it, Josh. You're in it on a missing persons poster. So, hey, you were in the trailer. You were in the trailer as well. I'm excited too, Josh. Tom Hungarian is a new member, became a member of level number 1. Thanks, Tom. Really appreciate that, buddy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Carl Weidman, been a member for 13 months and says, Hi, Dave. I hope you're doing well. You have my vote to be the next Freddy Krueger. Well, thank you, Carl. I appreciate that. Hey, it's certainly an opportunity I would not turn down. Brandon Barry sends in $4.99 and says, Hey, Dave, movie I'm excited for is Hugh Grant in The Heretic. I've heard really good things about that. Yes, as a Christian fan of horror, the trailer has interested me. I've heard of this, trailer. I've seen the trailer. I've heard of the movie. Obviously, I've heard of the movie, seen the trailer, and I'm interested in checking it out. It's nice to see Hugh Grant playing against type. It's really nice to see him playing against type. So, I'm very excited. Very excited about that. That's going to be awesome. Brandon Collins, one of our great mods, member for 11 months, says, I want a super meta sequel to Scream where Ghostface stalks and kills all of the franchise actors. You bring everyone back and make it brutal. You know what? Like, to be honest with you, at this point, and maybe it's because I'm not a diehard Scream fan, and when I say, I mean like how I am with Halloween or something, right? You do kind of like a Wes Craven's New Nightmare, where it's a bit meta. I wouldn't be against that. I mean, they're not doing that for Scream 7, so clearly Kevin Williamson and Neve Campbell and Spyglass and Paramount feel they have more to tell in the fictional universe. Well, it's still a fictional universe, even if it's meta, but that's actually a kind of a fun idea. It's almost like a Scream movie within a Scream movie. It's like really meta. Like Scream's kind of meta, but then it gets more meta. Do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of, I'd be down for that. I'd be down for that. That's interesting. Mendel Goodman, been a member for 14 months. Sends a member chat, says, I thought Nev Campbell said that she didn't want to play Sydney anymore because she wanted to end the character on a good note. And Mendel gifted a membership as well. You gifted a membership to Andrew Rawlinson. Amazing. Welcome, Andrew. Welcome. Did she say that? It wouldn't surprise me if she said that. She may have said that. Yeah, it's possible. She may have said that. I don't know if, I don't know. It's possible. It's possible that she may have said that. I'm sure she did, but apparently money talks and she's back. Money talks and bullshit walks and she's back, ladies and gentlemen. She is back. John Stevens says, I'm honestly more excited for It's Me Billy 2 than anything else. So fun last summer with the campaign and following the development. Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. We're excited to finally get it out there. It's crazy, man, to think that we're almost here. It's crazy. It's been a long journey. My goodness. Magic Marker says, hey, Dave, cannot wait for It's Me Billy Chapter 2. Prepping for the hurricane. We're safe near the edge of it. Gonna get rain and wind. And I've been catching up on your videos. You demand. Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate that. Yeah, there's a massive hurricane right now heading towards Florida. And, of course, the East Coast there. Folks, if you're in that area, do not be afraid to leave. Don't try to be the big man or the big woman. A big woman? A big cookie woman? And ride it out. I know lots of people do. They ride it out. And, fair enough. But yeah, I think it's a category. What is it right now? Is it still, I think it was a category 4 when I looked at it this morning. It was a category 4. But I don't know if it's slowing down a little bit. I was in Florida in 1992 when I was 13 years old, when Hurricane Andrew hit. Now, we were in Orlando because we were going to Disney World and Universal Studios. So but we got like wind and rain and things like that. But yeah, I remember being in Florida when Hurricane Andrew is one of the deadliest hurricanes in history. It was a category 5 that hit. And I'll never forget that. Look up Hurricane Andrew for those of you that are not old enough. That was a big one. That's like a level of Katrina, you know what I mean? Like that level of like, holy fuck, yeah, pretty cool. I mean, not cool, but you know what I mean? Jamie hey, Andrew Wallinson just gifted 5 memberships. Thanks, buddy. Amazing. This is really cool. Gifted a membership to Jamie Hart and to Jordan Moran and Eli Cortez and ya boy Jay and Twiz have all become members here on the channel. That is awesome. So I think it's level number 1 members, I think. So you'll get, of course, as you can see, you get your name highlighted in the chat. And which is really cool. You get to send in highlighted member questions, which is great. They're green. You'll get your name added to the member card. That means I have to update the member card at the beginning of every show and stream that I do. And you'll get access to like member only. Well, you get access to a member only Q&A, which I have to do. To all my members out there, I really appreciate your patience. I know I'm behind. I need to do a member-only show. I need to do a horror movie nights. I'm behind on that. I need to do that. I appreciate your patience. It's just been really busy with Billy here over these last 2 weeks. But don't worry. I owe you a member-only stream and a level number 2 members. I owe you a horror movie nights. It's coming. It is coming. Don't worry. It's coming. And I want to share some member only or member first images as well. I want to get those up as well. There's just a lot that's going on, but don't worry. It's happening. I appreciate you all. And I love the and you get access to exclusive member emojis as well. You'll see them. Yeah. See, Jamie Hart just, and we can use these super fun emojis. That's right. See? That's what I'm talking about. Pretty cool stuff. So, hey, you were gifted a membership. If you like being a member for the next month, maybe you'll stick around. Who knows? Let me see here. And then we got Andrew Rawlinson gifted memberships. And then we got Carl Wyman just gifted 5 more memberships. Amazing. Oh my God. Amazing. Carl Wyman is the man. Melissa Wildcard becomes a member. Irish Michael Myers, 77, becomes a member. JD is LA becomes a member. Kenny525, Matt, Mr. J. Really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. I recognize some of those names there. So very cool indeed. Very cool indeed. Yeah, again, folks, I appreciate your patience. I'm a little behind on some of the members, stuff. Again, it's just because of the Billy thing. But I owe you guys that, and it is coming. It is coming. It's coming. You guys are awesome. James McMillan sends in $5. Thanks, James. It says, I'm super excited for It's Me Billy 2. I can't wait to watch it. I'm going to watch them both together to keep keep up the amazing work. One of the best YouTubers. Thank you, James. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then we got, hang on. Josh McKenna sends another $9.99. Thank you, Josh, and says, I heard walking the red carpet can be intimidating. However, when I see videos of Taylor Swift at the Grammys, she does it perfectly without getting starstruck. Is it intimidating? Well, I mean, I've walked the red carpet. I've walked various red carpets at various different functions. The biggest red carpet I've ever walked in my life, for me, was at the Voice Arts Awards at Warner Brothers Studios, where I was nominated. That was really cool. I was on the red carpet with Rosario Dawson and Sigourney Weaver and William Shatner, and I mean, it was really cool. I wasn't like with them, but we were on the carpet at the same time, and that was a very cool and a very surreal experience. Yeah, that was, I've been on some smaller red carpets at smaller film festivals and things like that, but this was Warner Brothers Studios. You know what I'm saying? I was a nominee, it was pretty cool. Flash bulbs all over the place. Like it was really cool. And yeah, I was a bit nervous because there is, when you do a lot of red carpets, okay, I'll just say this to answer your question directly. When you do a lot of red carpets and you're working at the level that Taylor Swift is at, who's probably walked more red carpets than I've had, peanut butter sandwiches, you get into a groove. You get into a groove, and she's confident. She knows she's got a big following. She knows that, she's walked a lot of red carpets. She's confident. She'll be working with her publicists and her, her team, and she knows she looks good, and so she's got this confidence. She's walking along. She knows how to look, where to look, what to do, all that kind of stuff. That was one of the trickiest things for me, was knowing where to look, right? Because that can be tricky. So it's, it's interesting. I'm glad I've had the experience. It's not an experience that I couldn't care less if I ever had it again. Depending on what happens in my voiceover career, I might have that again at, the Voice Arts Awards. Depending on what happens in my filmmaking career, maybe I'll have that happen again. But it's an interesting experience. Let's put it this way. I've been nominated 4 times. The 4th time I was better at it. The first time I felt awkward. I felt very awkward. The first time I felt a little out of my element. I'm like, because I was like, oh my God, like this is fucking crazy. The 4th time I found a bit of a groove. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, I've done this before. I know the environment. I recognize the place. I think I know what to do. And I'm sure if I was to do it again and 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 again, you would just be, but there is an art to it. There is definitely an art to it. How you stand, how you look, because there's photos being taken of you and you want your photos to look good. You don't want to look, how you stand, how, the angle, your best side is a whole fucking thing. That's more prevalent for women, of course. They really, that's more of a girl thing, I guess. Guys, we can be out there in our underwear and we probably don't care, but it's an art in and of itself. And somebody like Taylor Swift, I mean, Taylor Swift, I mean, she's done this 100 times every year. You know what I mean? I've done it like, 6 or 7 times in my life, right? So very different levels of experience. Let me see here. I got that. So I'll make sure I'm not missing anything. I don't think I have. Evil Alex says, my most hyped horror rest of the year, It's Me, Billy 2. Well, I appreciate that, guys. And listen, guys, if it's not, it's totally okay. Like, you don't, I'm glad that it is, but if you're more excited for something else, that's totally cool too. Like that's, you don't have to say that if it's but I love to hear it, and I trust you're being honest, and that's fucking cool. I'll just say it's fucking cool. It's fucking cool. I hope you like it. And again, it's so people know, It's Me, Billy 2 is not Terrifier. Those are two very different movies. Ours, of course, is more psychological. It's very much in line with the first chapter, right? So it's not like we got blood, guts, and gore all over the place. So if you're new to my channel, and please watch chapter 1 so you know what to expect with chapter 2. Because it's the same night. It's the same film. I mean, essentially, we're just showing you the last half. So, yeah. I just don't want people to walk in expecting, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Terrifier. That'd be crazy though. Can you imagine? We put like $100,000 all on like effects, and we've got like blood all over the place, and Sam is there with like her intestines just like spilling out all over the ground. She's like and Agnes is like chopping her up with an axe, and her head's falling out. You guys would be like, what the fuck happened? Holy shit, chapter 2 goes hard, man. Goes hard. That'd be crazy. Dream Villain says, Sigourney Weaver, 75. Wow. Still looks great and still going. Yeah, she was, look, she was, when was my last nomination was 2019. So the last time I was at, was 2019? Yeah, it was. So she would have been what, 69, 68? She was stunning. She had this great green dress that was on. And of course she's tall, right? But she was beautiful. I just remember thinking, wow, she looks great. You know what I mean? Very, very, very cool. Yeah, very cool. The Violator 862, the Violator 862 sends a $9.99. Thanks, buddy. Says, Dave, been a while due to some hectic family stuff this year. Well, I hope you're hanging in, man. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're strong. But it feels good to tune back into another show. Well, thanks, man. It's great to. Hey, listen, I got a backlog of all that shit you can tune into. There's probably a lot of stuff you need to catch up on. But thanks, man. Thanks for the super chat. I'm glad you're doing well, and I'm glad you are here. Really appreciate that. Let me see. Thomas Cohn says, I hope Billy 2 has a shower scene like Terrifier 3. Yes, we have a shower scene. It's Billy in the shower though. Sorry to disappoint you folks. It's Billy in the shower. And he hacks away at himself with a chainsaw and chainsaws himself off, and it falls all over the place and all that kind of stuff. That'd be crazy. That'd be like, what? Well, that's really how the movie ends. Like, what? What'd you guys do? Let me see here. Just scrolling back. Let me see. Mendel Goodman says, Dave, after It's Me, Billy, will you have more time for more live shows like you used to do? Possibly, yes. It all depends, of course, on my schedule with voiceover, which I'm always sort of juggling that, of course. I'm on 3 animated shows at the moment. We're wrapping up Lana Longbeard, which I'm very excited about. That's coming out next year. I don't know who's got it in the States yet. I know Warner Brothers Discovery has got international distribution overseas. And in Canada, I think it's CBC and Family Channel maybe or something. I'm not sure, but I'm really excited about this show, guys. The energy of this show is like, the animation's so great. Very excited about that. I'm doing the 4th season of Deer Squad right now. Deer Squad's on Paramount Plus. I came in for the 4th season to replace a voice actor on a couple of characters. So I'm excited about that. I don't know when that'll be though. I'm not sure when that'll be. There's Luna Chip and Inky, which I think that's still on Peacock, if I'm not mistaken. I play Mr. Crumple on that. So that I think it's on Peacock still. You have to double check. I'm not sure. Yeah. So, and then of course, so I'm busy obviously with the voiceover, trying to, do all that. And then of course the filmmaking. I mean, once Billy's done, but I want to continue to move forward with my career as a filmmaker. I want to now move on to original IP, right? And really see what we can do and you know, continue to push continue to push forward is what I was trying to say, with myself and Bruce as filmmakers. And that doesn't mean we're always going to direct together. Like I've said many times on this channel, we are a team, of course, and we're best friends of over 30 years, and we love making movies together. And we have ideas that we definitely want to direct together, but we also have our own ideas as well. And for Bruce's idea that he's passionate about, I would likely come on as a producer, but he would direct it. And then for my stuff that I'm passionate about, Bruce would come on as a producer, but I would direct it. You know what I mean? So we do have our solo projects we want to direct solo as well. So the sky's the limit. We have ideas. There's some opportunities that may be coming down the pipe for us very soon. Keep your fingers crossed for us. And you know, we'll see what happens. You know, we'll see what happens. Some interesting stuff, hopefully. And yeah, and so that's, but the Billy stuff and the fan film sort of era for us is coming to an end. Again, you know, it's a professional product, and it's as professional as anything that's, you know, that's out there, but because it's not for profit and it has to remain not for profit, it is technically a fan film, even though it doesn't necessarily carry the stigma of one at all. We now want to move on to original IP where we can actually raise money and get paid to make movies and seek distribution for streaming services or maybe a theatrical release or something like that, right? That's the next step for us now, is to move in that direction now that we have these two films behind us, and they're great pieces and they're great for our portfolio. They're great calling cards as well. So yeah, we've learned a lot on these films, and we hope you guys enjoy the conclusion on Friday. But it is a conclusion. There will not be a Billy 3, at least not from us. There won't be a Billy 3. It does wrap up the story quite nicely, I think. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. And remember to watch it, share it around, spread it around. We need all the help we can get. We're not Terrifier. We don't have their budget. We don't have their marketing budget. We're not a theatrically released movie. We don't have a Chainsaw, Shower Death, and Art the Clown. So we need all the help we can get. We're, you know, the little guy. But I believe in this community, and I believe in you guys, and you can help us, you know. But you know what's really cool too is that obviously we're releasing it on Friday, October the 11th, because that is the 50th year anniversary to the day of when the original in 1974 was released here in Canada. And that's why we're releasing it then. But it's cool because we'll get everybody who's going to watch it. We'll get a lot of the Halloween folks. And then there might be a little bit of a lull in November, but maybe not. But then, of course, we get all the Christmas folks as well. So that's really cool too. So hopefully Billy 2 will do well. Oh, hang on a sec. I thought I lost you guys. Am I still live? Yeah, I'm still live. Some reason. Oh, okay. Maybe there was maybe I'm buffering. I'm not sure. No, my kilobytes per second look good. Yeah, we get a lot of the Christmas folk as well. So there's that double, so hopefully it does really well over these next few weeks, and hopefully it'll continue to do well right into the Christmas season. And Billy 1 obviously will get some eyeballs on it as well, because of that. I've yet to do this myself, but I'll be curious to know how all three movies work. So for all you fans out there, let me know when you get a chance. If you get a chance, if you do this, watch Black Christmas, then It's Me Billy, and then It's Me Billy 2. Let me know how it works, because Bruce has watched it and said it works beautifully. And I'm just like, oh, that's great. That's great. And it was designed that way too, of course. Right. So, that's awesome. Awesome stuff. But yeah. Let me see here. Mario Fontana says, "Hey Dave, I've never seen Black Christmas or It's Me Billy Chapter 1. I plan on watching all three this week. Just wanted to know what inspired you in the original to continue on with your own sequels." Really, really cool. Great question, Mario. So I'll give you the Cliff Notes. So I've worked 23 years in the entertainment business, mostly on the voiceover side of things. I went to film school. I studied film. Film was my first love. And in 2019, I wanted to really make a go at it on the professional level, right? And because I just turned 40 then. I'm like, well, I mean, there's guys that are 25 that are making Hollywood movies that are being released in theaters. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, if I'm 40, 5 years ago, I was like, I really want to make a go at this. My buddy Bruce, who I've known for 30 years, he works in the film industry here in Canada, and we decided to band together and really make a go at it, but we didn't want to bite off more than we could chew. We wanted to do something with, there was always going to be pressure because we were going to be working at a professional level, but we wanted to do something that we felt comfortable with as our first time at this level. And so we decided to do something special. We're Canadians from Toronto. Black Christmas, the original 1974 film, is a Canadian movie shot in Toronto. It doesn't take place in Toronto. It's supposed to take place in the US, but it's a Canadian movie with a large Canadian cast. And it's never had a sequel. 2 remakes, never had a sequel. And we decided, who better to do a sequel, even though ours will be unofficial, who better to do a sequel than 2 Canadians from Toronto? And so, and what was great about it, was attractive to us, was that, because it would be a fan film, again, fan film in quotes, because it obviously we're not in our backyard with our friends on a camcorder. It's a legit professional production. We are the studio. Like, we are the production company. We are the studio. The deadlines we want to meet are only our own. Whatever we set, it's our own. Like, so the pressures we add are the pressures that are coming from us, not from upper echelon studios, production companies, all that kind of stuff, other, producers and all that. And because I didn't know if we were ready quite for that yet. And so we thought, let's do this. This would be an attractive endeavor, but let's shoot it totally pro. Let's do it like we would be doing any other movie. And so that was really the Cliff Notes version of what inspired us to do it. It never had a sequel. We're Canadian, it's Canadian. We didn't want to do Friday the 13th because Vincent DeSanti has that locked up like it's nobody's business. Cecil Laird's got Dylan's New Nightmare. There's a Halloween fan film for every star in the sky, and we wanted to do something different. And so we didn't go for the low-hanging fruit. We went for Black Christmas, and a little unorthodox, but it worked. It worked, and we're very proud of both films and how it's turned out. But now that we have that experience under our belt, and now we're ready to move to the next level, which is, okay, now let's start to work with original IP, move forward, and start to move in that direction now. And so we're very excited about it. We're very excited about it. But yeah, that was ultimately why. I don't think either of us were quite ready yet to work on an original project. I mean, you can be the producers and the production company and the studio and the market. You can be all that on an original project as well. I'm not saying you can't be. I'm just saying that for us, where we were in our lives and our schedules, this made the most sense. This made the most sense. And we're doing something special for one of the great Canadian horror movies of all time, one of the most influential and important horror films in the genre. Whether you like Black Christmas or not, whether you watch it later and you're just like, not really a fan, because it's a slow burn, right? It's not a blood, guts, and gore film. Whether you like the movie or not, it is one of the most important films in the genre, and it never had a sequel until we came along. So yeah, that's really why. It was just something kind of poetic and cool, and within our wheelhouse of where we were as filmmakers. I think it made the most sense. But now we're ready. We're ready to move on, and we're excited about it. Josh McKenna sends in another $9.99. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate that. And says, speaking of the shower death, that scene will be interesting for me because I almost died in the shower as a kid. Oh no! I slipped and cut my back open on a soap dish and it was a bloody mess. Oh, dude. Well, I'm glad you're okay, Josh. That's crazy. Yeah, you might get some flashback. I mean, listen, I haven't seen Terrifier 3 yet, obviously, but, based on the trailer, obviously it looks like this couple has a catastrophic, miserable death. It's going to be pretty crazy, pretty bloody. I'm looking forward to seeing it, if nothing more than just the carnage. I mean, I have heard from some people, and this is out there now, but I've heard from some people that it's very heavy on that and maybe not so heavy on story. But really, are you going to see the Terrifier films for story? Like, are you really? Like really? Are you? I mean, are you really? I don't know. I'm glad you're well, Josh. Sean McCarney sends in £4.99. Thanks, buddy. Says, Dave, you've been a comforting voice in a crazy world these last few years. I appreciate that. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. That means a lot, man. Hey, anything I can do to keep you entertained, to take a little bit of the edge off of your day, that's awesome. That's awesome, right? You've had a long day, you're stressed, you come home, and a little bit of Dave McRae. A little bit of Dave McRae. A little bit of Dave McRae didn't hurt anybody. Let me try that again. A little bit of Dave McRae didn't hurt anybody. Fuck. The first time I said it, it's not like I had a mouthful of tacks. Let's see here. Microsoft. I like how you spelt that. Microsoft sends in $10. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. Says, happy to catch you live. Yes. Amazing. Thoughts on Art the Clown going down in history as more of a Leatherface type. Well known, but not as beloved as Freddy and Jason. Have a great one. Yeah, great question, Microsoft. So I am very curious on how Terrifier 3 is going to, how it is going to favor Art the Clown. I've received some backlash, and it's just backlash from mouth breathers that don't know their ass from their elbow because they don't understand nuance with what I'm saying. And they're very mean about it. From people that, like I did a video 2 days before or 3 days before Terrifier 2 came out. And that video was, is Art the Clown a horror icon? And my argument has always been at that time was, well, no, he's not. I know that through marketing, people, look, they're going to market him like he's a horror icon. He's extremely popular right now. There's no doubt about it. And if you think he's a horror icon, then he's a horror icon to you. But I like to look at things a little more objectively, if we can. And at that time, he was not. Is he now? Do I think he's a horror icon right now? I don't. Because for me, there's still too many unanswered questions. How well is Terrifier 3 going to do? Oh, it's going to do well. How will history look at Terrifier 3? Will the critics like it, but how will the audience respond to it? Does the audience need more story? Is it getting a little tired now? We don't know. Art the Clown, and this is my opinion, folks, Art the Clown is extremely popular. He's extremely popular. But just because something or someone is popular doesn't in and of itself make that thing or person iconic, legendary, or the greatest of all time. I'm not saying they say art is the greatest of all time. I'm just saying those are three buzzwords that you see tossed around very loosely. And so Art the Clown, Terrifier 3 is the first movie that is getting a wide release internationally and domestically. Domestically meaning US and Canada. I think it's being released here anyway. I got to double check. And obviously he is more well-known now because of Terrifier 2. And Terrifier 3 is going to make a lot of money. There's no doubt about it. And so I'm very curious to see how well does the movie do? What does the audience think? What are the ramifications of that? How is the pop culture looking at art, right, on a bigger scale? For those of you that are too young to have grown up through the 80s and the 90s, the 80s especially, there's a big difference between Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, and Art the Clown. Art the Clown is popular. He is. There's no doubt about it. But he is niche by the default of his subgenre, splatter. It does not appeal to the average moviegoer. It does not appeal. It doesn't have general moviegoing appeal. And that alone does, as a default, hinder your reach and your popularity. I could take a picture of Art the Clown to the average person in Times Square, and there would be people that would know who he was. but there would be more people that would know who Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, and Michael Myers are. They've had a longer time, a longer history. They're more in the pop culture zeitgeist on a general populace level, right? You know, Jason Voorhees was on Arsenio Hall. Freddy Krueger had his own, they had their own video games. They had their own television shows. They had their own, tons of stuff. I will say this with the marketing team behind Terrifier and Art the Clown. They are pushing him to be an icon. They are doing a lot of the similar things. Call 1-800 and they are pushing him to be an icon. And they're sort of like, build it and they will come kind of thing with Art. They want him to be an icon. They're marketing him like he is an icon already, like he's at that level. And that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it because, or at least that's one way to do it. Because, it's sort of like fake it till you make it kind of thing. And they're pushing him out there like he's already there. And the marketing, a new horror icon, you see all this stuff and it's just like, this is all marketing tactics and, call 1-800-ART-FART and, whatever it is. They're doing all those classic retro things. The difference is that back in the 80s, that was the culture. That was the culture, right? When we talk about, or when I say pop culture zeitgeist, we talk about something that defines a generation, something that is part of popular culture. When you think of the 80s, you think of Ghetto Blasters, He-Man, Walkmans, you know what I mean? It's part of popular culture. It defines an era. It defines a generation. Will Art the Clown define the 2020s? I don't know. Like when we look back at the 2020s, is Art the Clown there? I don't know. It might still be too early. This is how I look at it, okay? You're free to disagree with me, and you're free to lay out your own argument as to why he is an icon right now. You're free to do that. This is just how I look at things. And for me, there are still too many questions unanswered. He's very popular, and he's well on his way. If anybody is well on his way to becoming an icon, it's Art the Clown. But do I think he's there right now, this second, right now? No, I don't. For me, no. Not because I hate Art the Clown. I don't have any skin in this game. I don't hate Art the Clown. I don't hate them at all. I would say this about any fucking horror movie in that position. And if you follow me for any length of time, you know that. I would say it about Art the Clown or, I don't know, let's make up something. Billy the light bulb, Sarah the water bottle, whatever. I would say it about anybody. I always try to do my best to look at things as objectively as I possibly can, things that we can measure. And so he's extremely popular, and this is going to be a big test for him. This might propel him into the pop culture on a more mainstream. I know he's got mugs. I know he's got t-shirts and Spirit Halloween. I know he's got Funko Pop. That's great. That doesn't mean he's an icon. Okay? It means he's very popular. Okay? And he's well on his way. But what's his staying power? What is Art the Clown's staying power? Traditionally, these kinds of movies, again, because they're very niche and they don't have the power of the pop culture general movie-going audience, as Microsoft said, maybe he will reach a threshold and then just kind of stay there, right? And stay there, and he's very popular, and you recognize him. Even average people might go, oh yeah, I've seen that guy. But because of how niche and the Art the Clown universe and films are, there's only so far he can go, right? Unless you were to make him more mainstream, and that only means dumbing down, the films. And Damien Leone didn't want to do that, right? He had talks from a lot of the major studios, and they all wanted to remake Art the Clown, but they said, but you can't do it like this. And he was like, okay, well, I don't need you then. And he didn't need them. He didn't. And you got to give credit where credit is due. But that's my point, right? Is that to have more of a reach, like Darren from, the Slaughtered Lamb, he lives in the UK, and he's right when he says this. He says, look, before Terrifier 3, nobody over here knew who the fuck Art the Clown was. He said, I could show my sister a picture of Freddy, Jason, and Michael. She'd know who they were instantly. I show a picture of Art the Clown, she'd go, I don't know, Pennywise on a bad day or something. Who is this? Again, just because something's really popular in your neck of the woods doesn't mean it's out there in the culture, in the zeitgeist. And there's different cultures around the world too, right? And so those are the depths and those are the levels that I look at stuff, that I analyze shit. Because if you want something close to truth, you've got to look at that stuff. And is Art the Clown well on his way? He is. He is. Will he get there? He might. He might. But for me, I think it's early to call him a horror icon. Maybe it's not for you because you're looking at it from a different perspective, and you might have a great argument where I go, well, you know what? That's a good point. That's a good point. You know, when Freddy Krueger came out in 1984, he wasn't an icon, right? Freddy Krueger wasn't a horror icon in 1984, right? You know, there's a journey that has to take place. There's a journey that has to take place, and Art is on that journey as we speak. But because of the type of horror movie it is and the type of subgenre Art lives in, it may be very difficult, if not next to impossible, to reach the same global heights as Freddy, Michael, and Jason. And when I say global, I don't mean like China and Japan, but I just mean like, more international. It may be a bit more difficult, but we'll see, right? We'll see. So you can poo-poo on me all you want and say that I'm just hating on Terrifier, but that just shows, with all due respect, that you just don't understand what I'm talking about. I would say it about Black Christmas. I would say it about, look, is Billy a horror icon? Is he like one of the greatest? No. Right? He's niche. He's niche. He's incredibly important, and he's iconic within his own universe, I guess, and his own subgenre of horror. Sure. Yes, sure. If you want to say that Art the Clown has become iconic in the horror like sphere in a certain space, sure. Yeah, okay, sure. There's an argument to be made there. But when we're talking like Freddy, Michael, and Jason, pump the brakes a little bit. Let's wait and see. Okay? Let's wait and see how Terrifier 3 does. And what the response is, right? You know what I mean? Let's just wait. Some t-shirts, Funko Pops, and some mugs. That's great. That's all good. But for me, I reserve labels like icon, legendary, greatest of all time. I reserve those labels for very specific instances, because if we toss those labels around so loosely, if everybody's iconic, nobody's iconic, right? And so Art the Clown, in my mind, he's extremely popular. It's only building. It's only building, right? So Terrifier 3 this Friday, this release is a big test, and they know it. They know it. And so far the buzz there's buzz. So we'll see. We'll see how it does. All right, just a couple more minutes here. Let me see. Did I miss anything? Sean McCarney became a member of level number 1. Thank you, Sean. Really appreciate that. And then we've got the Violator 862 became a part of level number 2. Amazing, the Violator. I love it. Awesome. Morgan Film Fan says, hey, Dave, been watching a long time. Cambridge, Ontario. Hey, that's not too far away from me. Amazing. Very local. Yes, exactly. Also lived in Hamilton for 6 years. Not too far away as well. Just wanted to say cheers, and I love your passion for Black Christmas and Halloween. Well, thank you, Morgan. Really appreciate that, man. My fellow Canadian, my fellow Canuck. Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. Dude. Awesome. Let me see here. Brandon Collins says the tall man is an icon in the horror community, but not in the pop culture at large. Yeah, that's true. That's a great point. That's what I mean, folks, when I say, and I know I get made, fun of when I say this because I say it a lot, but when I say pop culture zeitgeist, I'm talking about characters that have crossed the threshold of their own genre. They've become part of popular culture. Whether you're a horror fan or not, whether you have seen an Elm Street movie or not, right? you know who Freddy Krueger is. That's a different level. That's a different sphere. That's what we're talking about. You become part of an era. You know, you are the Walkman. Like Freddy Krueger is like the Walkman in the 80s, the Ghetto Blaster, you know, leg warmers, Richard Simmons, Sweatin' to the Oldies, you know, Michael J. Fox, Family Ties, you know, The Cosby Show, Alf, right? You know what I mean? Like that's a different level. It doesn't matter who you are, you know. It doesn't matter if you've seen the movies or not. It doesn't matter if you're a horror fan or not. It doesn't matter if you've ever seen a horror movie or not. You know who Freddy fucking Krueger is. That is what I'm talking about. And Art the Clown, in my mind, when we talk about horror icon, right? It's just hang on. I'm not saying he's not going to get there, but I don't like to toss those things around too loosely. But I think people can I think sometimes fans get, like, in your own sphere, in your own world, in your own channels, in your own groups, in your own sphere, sure, I can understand. But when you take a step back out of your bubble and you look at sort of popular culture, it's a very different ballgame. It's a very different ballgame. But of course, this is my opinion. Let me see here. Okay, have I got all the super chats? Have I got all the super chats and all the member chats? Wow, we've got 14 new members today. That is amazing. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. 14 new members. I'm going to have 14 names to add to the member card. I got some work to do. That is so cool. You guys are awesome, 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 awesome. Thank you so much for that. I really, really, really appreciate it. All right, let me see here. Okay. All right. I think I've said everything I had to say. Does anybody else want to say any? Where the fuck are you guys? There you guys are. Any other last things you guys want to touch on? Let's see. Aaron Click here says Art was recognized by an average Joe at a falls festival I just went to. It was a handmade doll at a vendor. Both he and I comment on. He's getting there. Plus T3s. Well, Aaron, I respect that. I respect that. And that goes in line with, what I've said, right? Obviously, it goes without saying that there will be some average Joes out there that will recognize it, of course, right? I'm speaking generally, right? And that's good. That's good. If there was an average Joe that recognized it, I know that guy. That's great. That's great. He's getting out there. Right? But to me, again, there's a big difference. And this has nothing to do, this is not an attack on Art or Terrifier or Damien Leone. Again, for those of you that may need to hear it in the back, I would say the exact same thing if it was another movie and another character. I'm looking at this with my emotions removed. I'm looking at this from as an objectively as I possibly can with how I see iconic, legendary, and great in pop culture. It's just different. It's a different level for me. It's a different level. But that's really cool. That's really cool. And that should only increase with the release of Terrifier 3. So that's pretty cool. Alex says, Dave, I've never heard you talk about it, but what are your feelings about the original Phantasm? I haven't seen Phantasm in a while, dude. But I remember liking it. But I haven't. It's one of those movies like Maniac Cop and like those films like so. Not that Phantasm is like Maniac Cop, but I just mean there's certain movies from back in that era that I really need to watch again because it's been a minute, as the kids say. It's been a minute. But I remember liking it. I do remember liking it. Chester Franklin Jr. says, Dave, are you going to have Bruce on the channel? And also, will It's Me Billy Chapter 2 drop Friday morning and afternoon? Can't wait to watch it on YouTube. It will likely drop in the morning, probably like 9 or 10 in the morning, Eastern, something like that. I will have Bruce on the channel. We will obviously do it's Thanksgiving weekend here in Canada this weekend. Obviously in Canada, our Thanksgiving is celebrated the second weekend in October. You guys have, in the States, obviously celebrated the last Thursday in November. But it's our Thanksgiving weekend here this weekend. And so it's a long weekend for us. But Bruce and I are planning on getting together because there's a few things we need to talk about and tackle. And so maybe if there's time, I don't know if that'll be Friday or we probably won't. I don't think we'll jump on Friday. He may come over to my place Friday, but we probably won't jump on Friday. We'll just let the film, because that's the like release day, right? So we'll probably just like maybe we'll let the weekend go by, and maybe we'll jump on maybe Monday or something. I'm not sure. I got to talk to Bruce about it. Let's sort of have its opening weekend, and then kind of talk about it and do kind of like a, like we did with the first movie, answering your questions. If you have any questions, or maybe something, I don't understand this, or what does that mean, or, whatever, right? Those are always fun to do. But yeah, he will be on, we'll do something like that soon. Alley Girl, what's going on, Alley Girl? Says, can't freaking wait till Friday. Congratulations, Dave. It's going to be great. Thank you, Alley Girl. I really appreciate it. Make sure to share it and get it out there. Kyle says, outside of here, I hear exactly zero about Terrifier. I don't see how any character can be talked about as an icon without first being a household name. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it, right? But there's levels to this, right? There's so much nuance. Nothing really means anything anymore. You know what I'm saying? I like to look at it from the perspective that I talked about, but there are a lot of movie fans and horror fans that will put that label on something when something's really popular in the space, right? He's an horror, he's a horror icon. And, look, there is an argument to be made. You can make that argument. But for me, I think it's too soon. It's too soon to put that label on art. He's popular. He's popular like Freddy was in 84 and 85. Freddy wasn't in horror. Like, we as kids weren't talking about Freddy as a horror icon in 1985. It's only in retrospect, when you have that perspective and you have that longevity and you have that staying power and you have that, oh my God, he's everywhere. And your grandma knows who fucking, Freddy is. And now I'm likely to get saying, my grandma knows who Art the Clown is. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Great. That's good. That's good then. That's good. I'm just saying that those are the levels that we're talking about, right? And so we'll see. But it's also about staying power, right? There has to be staying power there too. You can't, you can come and go, but will there be staying power? Britney Spears isn't hot anymore, but she's an icon because of her staying power. You know what I mean? And what happened with her and the right time and the timing and if they ever did a mural on the wall, of the late 90s, early 2000s shit, who would you see up there? You'd see Britney Spears up there. You would, right? You know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Right now, if somebody did a mural of the 2010s or the 20s, would Art the Clown be in there? I don't know. Maybe, but I wouldn't bet money on it. If somebody did a mural of 1980s pop culture, I would bet the fucking house that Freddy Krueger would be somewhere on there, right? You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where, again, that's how I look at it. Pop culture zeitgeist. If you don't know what it is, don't know what it means, look it up, read about it, read what it really is, and then you'll understand. But I think I've done a pretty good job, at explaining my position. So, but well on his way. Definitely well on his way. This is going to be interesting. It's a very interesting time for Art the Clown and Terrifier. Very interesting time. For sure. All right, folks, listen, that's going to do it for me here on episode 286 of McRae Live. I want to thank the members. We had 14 new members today. Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you to the member chats. Thank you to the super chats as well. I really appreciate it. And thank you for tuning in to this episode as well, folks. I'm going to be dropping a new promo for Billy 3. Billy 3. Oh my God. No, there's no Billy 3. I'm going to be dropping a new promo in a moment for Billy 2. It's our third promo is what I meant. And I'll be dropping that in just a few minutes after I go live. So make sure to watch it, share it around, like it, thumb up. Yeah, I mean, it's this Friday, folks. We're dropping It's Me Billy Chapter 2 this Friday. This is amazing, isn't it? Isn't it cool to see the inception, right from the very beginning, the announcement, right to the release of a movie? You guys have been on this journey with me and for both movies. Here we are. We're at the tail end. It's fucking amazing, man. It's really fucking cool when you really think about it. And we could not have done it without all of you. Literally, because we can't, could we have made a movie without you? Sure. But you can't work at this level hire the people we've hired, rent the gear we've, rented, and locations and production insurance and craft services and catering and travel and cast and crew and unions and fees. And we could not have done that without you. So that's pretty fucking cool to see it's come to fruition. You know what I'm saying? Even if you just donated and picked up a Blu-ray, you matter. You're a part of this. You are a part of this. This Friday, October 11th, 2024, It's Me, Billy, Chapter 2 drops. Be there, folks. Really excited about. Hey, Microsoft sends in $10 again. Thanks, buddy. Says, if Terrifier came out in the 80s, art may be iconic right now. Yes, possibly. Yes. Again, I worry only simply because of the only thing that I worry about art, crossing the threshold into the general pop culture zeitgeist. The only thing that I think might hold art back is just the subgenre he's working in, right? It doesn't appeal to the general movie-going audience. It's not palatable for general movie-going audiences, right? That doesn't mean that it's not going to become popular, but that's the only thing that I worry about at the moment. Because it's a very niche, specific kind of horror film, right? It's an exploitative splatter film. So, it's like Last House on the Left wouldn't appeal. Or it's like I Spit on Your Grave. I Spit on Your Grave is a rape movie, right? I'm probably going to get demonetized now, but fuck it. It is, right? And we know about those films, right? But do they appeal to the? It's a very specific, you know what I mean? And so that's what I think might hold art back, or one of the things that may inevitably in the end hold him back, but who knows? We don't know, right? I don't know. If Art the Clown had been like Freddy or Jason, and the movie's been a little more popular, more of the general movie-going audience, then I think you're right. I think that he could be like that now. Yeah, for sure. He could be like a Pennywise, a demented Pennywise, who knows? I don't know. Yeah. Really, really cool. Absolutely. Today we'd be having the same conversation about Freddy. If Arthur now, and if Elm Street came out today, we'd have the same conversation about Freddy. That's right. It's a lot of the times these things are relative, right? A lot of the times they're relative. If Freddy had come out today, we wouldn't be saying that Freddy right now after a movie is iconic. We'd be going, wow, he's really popular. Well, actually, maybe we would be saying that because, of how things are today. But yeah, I believe these discussions are nuanced. I like to have nuanced discussions and debates because I think it isn't black and white, and fandom isn't black and white, and movies and film are not black and white. Well, unless you watch a black and white movie, womp womp. But yeah, so that's how I like to approach these things because I think we get to I think we get the closest we can, because film is subjective, we get the closest we can to a certain level of objective truth when the discussions are nuanced. And that's how I like to have them. Anyways, folks, yeah, that's going to do it for me. Taylor Paulson coming in right at the buzzer. $1.99 says, going to see T3 with all my coworkers October 14th. Amazing, buddy. Have a good time. That's the way to do it. Grab a bunch of people together and go see T3, not Terminator 3, Terrifier 3. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, folks. You're amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, if you're watching after the fact, jump into the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on anything I had to say here today, whether it's Terrifier 3, whether it's Scream 7, whether it's Robert Englund. What else did we talk about? We also talked about, Robert Englund, Scream 7, Terrifier 3, It's Me, Billy, Chapter 2. Jump into the comment section. Let me know your thoughts because I would really like to know. That's going to do it for me. If you want to follow me on social media, you can. All my links are in the description. Check them out until your heart's content. And when your heart is content, check them out again. That'll do it for me. In the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you soon. Cheers.